Welcome to another edition of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jared Johnson. And man, we have a lot of really good questions here. I'm actually going to try and, I'm not always the best at this, but I'm going to try and be succinct, do more of a rapid fire to get to a lot of y'all's questions. Because honestly, I didn't answer a lot in the last edition. And then we have double digit again this week. So just in a day or two. So I want to go ahead and answer this. I want to get something posted for y'all and so get some answers to your questions. All right, the first one comes from, it says C. Crook, who wants to know, did I ever have any suspicion Marlene Stallings was running a questionable program? He said, from an outsider looking in, she presented herself as a highly regarded individual. Yeah, okay, first off, I got to preface it with, I don't pretend that we cover Lady Raider basketball heavily. There's just, when I first got here 7 years ago, I tried to cover it all, like, meat judging, basically, which in hindsight may have been a really good idea given how successful they've been. Like the Alabama meat judging Texas Tech is, but no, I mean I really spread myself so thin that I wasn't really covering anything very well. I wasn't being an insider really for anything in my staff, and it was just the business model just didn't seem right. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm a huge soccer fan after living in the Valley for a while and just became a soccer fan. That's not really the most popular sport on campus. So I'd like to cover Texas Tech women's soccer, but the numbers don't support it. And honestly, Lady Raiders, though, of course, there's been an amazing following. In the past, there just isn't enough time in the day. So, and then couple that with the fact that I haven't been on campus almost at all because of the corona for so long. We're out here, this kind of thing. Undoubtedly would have heard about this before it came out. Then that's why it really got by, those two things. I did not know this was happening. I did not know that was. I mean, if I had known that there was all these allegations of abuse, of course I would have helped sound the trumpets. Just as a human being. And I did talk about the Lady Raiders on the radio several times. We devote a segment to it during the season. Most of the time it was my associates, honestly, who talked during that segment. But when I did talk about Stallings, I always said I was impressed just because, they were showing improvement in record-wise, and she was doing a good job recruiting. Now, also in hindsight, I'm not sure how much attention I paid to it, but I was somewhat aware that there were a lot of transfers. So that's always a warning sign. So I think that was the main. If there was a alarm or a warning sign, then all the transfers were it, and that was legitimate. That's a legitimate warning sign. All right, Texan 44 wants to know about the quarterbacks, and I actually kind of talked about the quarterbacks in a new series that is coming out this week as well, about just the position battle, the competition at quarterback at Texas Tech for this year. So basically you have Bowman far out ahead. I expect him to be the starter. You have Alan Bowman. You hope he can stay healthy. You hope the offensive line can keep him upright. You hope he's confident and plays fearless, able to stand in the pocket like he was as a true freshman and not as skittish as he was early on as a sophomore. Maverick McIver, another guy coming off multiple major injuries, including torn ACL his senior year at San Angelo Central High School. A lot of talent, one of the most heavily recruited quarterbacks to sign with Texas Tech, really ever, but especially in recent history. Really good arm, strong arm. Bowman brings accuracy. I think McIver brings more arm strength. And then you got Henry Colombi, traditional transfer from Utah State, true dual threat. I think out of the three, he's the biggest dual threat that you have, legitimate dual threat, since McIver's coming off that, the knee and a foot injury, by the way. So Colombi, he is a traditional transfer. He's waiting on a waiver request from, to hear if he's going to be immediately eligible from the NCAA. I'm not going to speculate on the NCAA because it's the NCAA, so we'll have to just see what they say in their arbitrary ruling. If he does get the waiver, he has 2 years this year and 1 more year. If not, he'll have to sit out this year and then have 1 more year next year. He's familiar with Coach David Yost's offense, so he has a shot for some playing time if he is granted that waiver. And then the other scholarship quarterback on the roster is Donovan Smith, son of DeAndre Smith, the running backs coach. He started at Friendship this past season, led them to the playoffs. I saw him, tremendous talent, has a ways to go. Coach Will said recently he looks like a young player right now in fall camp, as expected. So let's hope he can develop and be a real player in the future. And then Texan 44 wants me to kind of look at kind of in the future what it would be like in terms of this quarterback room. Really, you throw in Baron Morton, who is the most heavily recruited guy since at least early on in the elite years, maybe ever. I mean, Baron Morton was he's a true four-star, top 100 overall player in the country. He was a top 10 Elite 11 finalist this past season. This past offseason. I mean, he's 6'2" and a half, about 190 pounds. He can run some, great arm. I like his release. I heard his release critiqued some at the Elite 11. It seems like a seamless, smooth release to me. I'm a big Morton fan overall. What I really like, what really stands out is beyond obviously him being a coach's son, his dad coached at Midland Lee, Lubbock, Monterey, is, he has that IQ, but he can really throw on the run. I mean, a lot of guys nowadays are good at getting out of the pocket and creating something, but he truly can throw on the run like daggers. And that's something that's valuable. I mean, it's invaluable. I mean, being able to create more time, throw on the run accurately to your team, not the other team, is a real skill nowadays that used to be like, don't even try it, not just like 15 years ago. Now it's, it's almost like that's one of the first things you look for in a quarterback. Can he do that? And I think he's elite. He truly is elite at that. So I look for Barron to really challenge, Maverick, Allen, and then I do think Donovan Smith is going to be a player. And then, of course, Henry Colombi in the next season or two. I think 2 or 3 years from now, Donovan Smith and Baron Morton, watching those two compete, is going to be really interesting. So I said I was going to try and be succinct, but you be talking quarterbacks in football, and I ramble on. So let's move along. From Syntax wants to know, he says, so after reviewing all the options for season ticket holders, which one do we think they should pick? Well, I'm not one to try and tell someone how to do their fandom, that's for sure, especially when it comes to spending money on season tickets. Some of the options are, you can, ask for a refund. I like that, and I think they had to do this, but I like that Tech is allowing people to keep their tickets even if they get a refund for this year, because, it's going to be 25% capacity. There's just a lot of people that pay for tickets that aren't going to have a seat. And it's just the world we live in with the coronavirus pandemic and the concerns over it. That's just the way it is right now. So, for me, what I would do probably, and I'm probably not a good person to ask because I haven't paid for a ticket, football ticket, in I don't know how long. I mean, I just don't go as a fan because I've gone to so many games, as a journalist. So, but if it were me, I wouldn't try and mess with getting a ticket this year. I would enjoy the living room. And I would probably just go ahead and donate my money to the athletic program. Heck, maybe get some kid a scholarship that wouldn't have got it. Try and turn a good thing into a bad thing into a good thing. But once again, this is your money. It's your fandom. If you want that refund, you get it. I'm just saying I probably would just donate to the athletic program and, hope to go back next season. Enjoy the big screen, my own refreshments and food, my own bathroom, all that. I think I would just enjoy that and donate to the program. Who, let's be honest, given the fact that it's only 25% capacity, they're gonna need the money. They're gonna be taking a big hit. The program is this year financially. So, good thing at least that they're playing. So, if they play out the season, they'll get that TV contract money. Red Raider K wants to know, how would I like to see Tech finish out its current recruiting class in football? Yeah, that's a wide-ranging question. I mean, I could spend an hour talking about that. So I'll try and be succinct again. What they really need is really 2 running backs. And Cameron Valdez is the first one that jumps to mind. Monty Watkins is also in play. There's some other guys, they're keeping in contact with. But Cameron Valdez has been one of the top recruits. As a matter of fact, Baron Moore, the quarterback who I mentioned, the commit for the 2021 class, he says, Cameron Valdez is my number one priority in terms of what I'm trying to help who I'm trying to help the coaches land. And he's a big part. They need more running backs. They need depth there. I like Roger Thompson, who's going to be a sophomore this year. Of course, Jadarius Townsend, he's going to be gone after this year as a grad transfer. Xavier White looked good. It sounds like a really good idea, moving over from inside receiver. And then Taj Brooks, true freshman, who's at camp right now, already impressed as a true freshman. I like him, but you need more guys. I mean, running back, you do. So Valdez would be a huge pickup. Look, Ty Buchanan is a guy who you feel like there's an opportunity for Texas Tech, and because Tech's going to need at least one more, if not two more offensive linemen in this class. You feel like Ty Buchanan was a guy that you had an opportunity to offer early and didn't. Now, they recruited him hard. They hosted him in visits. They were in constant contact with Ty, he told me. But you didn't offer until after Colorado, USC, Oklahoma State. I can't remember how many. Several Power 5 schools offered. Then you offered, right? Like, I think the same day as a lot of them. I still think, even though I think there's one crystal ball selection for Ty, I still think Tech's in a great position, and I expect the Red Raiders to end up signing Ty. But I think just even today when I filmed this, or the day before, he picked up an offer from Purdue. So, there's going to be a lot of competition for Ty. But if you land him to go with Jack Tucker, who you already have committed from Argyle, you're feeling pretty good already. Like the offensive line, because the numbers, you're just not going to be able to take a whole lot, no matter what. Some people might say on inside the Red Raiders, the board, you really don't have a lot of space to take a large offensive line class. So I'm thinking two or three offensive linemen. You get those two guys, you're already feeling good about your offensive line group. So on the other side, you have 3 defensive linemen committed. I'd like to see one more. The first guy that jumps out is Melvin Swindle, a guy out of Oklahoma, Heritage Hall there, Oklahoma City. What Oklahoma State's offered. So that's always tough to get a guy, probably a guy out of Oklahoma who has an Oklahoma, obviously, or Oklahoma State offer. But you do have opportunity there. You've been recruiting for a long time, and I like him. And then, look, you're going to need help in the secondary. You've added a lot of guys via junior college, transfer route, that kind of thing. And you had a really big high school class, really, of defensive backs. You had a pretty large one. And apparently they look really good. It's really early in fall camp, but so far they've been good. Lyric Rawls is a guy. He doesn't really divulge a whole lot, but Tech is in his, I think his final group, or at least his top 7 or top 5. Well, I can't remember all of it off the top of my head, but Tech's made the cut for Lyric Rawls, and he's a big safety type that Tech needs to add in this class. So, you get all those guys. I've written a story going more in depth on a lot of these guys. You land the majority of these guys, and this class is going to be a good class. You fill it out. The numbers aren't going to be, they're not going to sign 25 high school guys, but if you sign 18 to 20 and they're really highly rated right now, the numbers are down in terms of you only have 9 committed, but the average ranking per commit is 4th in the Big 12, which, after OU in Texas, then I think it's West Virginia. Yeah, I think it's West Virginia, and then Tech. So, I think, honestly, as long as the numbers are there most years, you would take that every year. So, they just need to add to these numbers, and then they'll get some transfers. There's some grad transfer guys who could help immediately fill some holes, and we won't know all those holes until this crazy season happens or doesn't happen, and we see what kind of roster attrition there is. But it's going to be a good class, and I think those guys I mentioned will go a long way toward, rounding it out. Texas Tech Red Raider wants to know the odds that Vasher has played his last down. That's a really good question, because TJ Vasher, all right? I just want to say, you talk to TJ, he's a very likable person. But the guy just can't seem to stay on the right track to play a lot. He was suspended for a lot of last year. He had his issues even when Kingsbury was here, and we all know that Kingsbury was a very, in Vasher's own words, understanding type head coach. So he got away with some things maybe that he's just not going to get away with under the current regime. He's so talented. He is. 6'6", condor arms. He makes all those highlight plays. The thing with TJ is, and it's the same thing, is just being consistent both on and off the field. He made the highlight reel plays that not many people on the planet could make, but then he, would routinely not make the plays that everybody should make, Division I football. And then, he had a pretty big, I think, sophomore season or redshirt freshman season. But then, like I said, last year, as a junior, he was so inconsistent off the field they couldn't play him a lot. He missed some time. Now, he hadn't been at fall camp because he's concentrating on academics. That's what Coach Wells has continued to say, which I don't blame Coach Wells for saying that. And I don't know that that's not the case. I mean, maybe Vasher is struggling to be eligible, and that's what he's focusing on. I don't know if they're actually in session right now, but bottom line is he's only been participating in some walkthroughs, and there's a good chance Vasher won't be eligible. So the odds, I don't know what the odds are, but I tell you what I've been thinking about is a coin toss. Like, I wouldn't count on him being there, and I think Tech will be fine at receiver without him, but they look really good with him. That's the thing, is if you get a consistent performance from TJ Vasher, all of a sudden your receiving core looks formidable in the Big 12. Like, he could be one of the top ones up there. With him and EZ, you're still all those inside receivers. I mean, they have a lot of potential. Without TJ, you're just one or two injuries away from playing a lot of young guys, talented young guys, but they're young. So I think it's a coin toss. I wouldn't count on him being there, but then again, maybe he's eligible, he plays, and he plays very well. There should be a lot of motivation there for him because he's playing. I mean, the guy has a legitimate potential to play in the NFL. Now, he's got to grow up. Bottom line is, but TJ's a guy you root for, but at the same time, he gives you a headache because the potential's there, and he just can't reach out and grab it. So hopefully, he'll be eligible, he'll play, and he'll flourish. And he'll be remembered for a great senior season at Texas Tech and not all this inconsistency on and off the field. All right, we got to a handful of questions this time, so I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for your questions, and until next time.